Chapter 3. In the morning after breakfast, Ben pushed back the table and announced it was time to make ready to go. While Ben and Will hitched the horses to the double tree, Megan and Emma helped Nelda wash dishes and put away pallets. Thea followed Megan's every step, staring up at her with big eyes. Finally, she tugged on Megan's skirt. "Play with me," she insisted. Emma smiled over the quilt that she was folding and gave a quick nod, so Megan took the little girl's hands and said, "All right, what would you like to play?" "Let's play my dolls," Thea said. She led Megan to the corner and opened a box, carefully removing a short length of twigs, some of which were wrapped in tiny scraps of cloth. "This is the mother, and this is the father, and these are the children," she said. "You be the father, I'll be the rest of them." "The mother and a dozen children?" Thea raised her head and answered firmly, "I like them the best." Megan chuckled and took the father doll and held him on her lap. "Well," Thea said impatiently, "have him say something." Megan self-cautiously held up the doll and spoke in a low voice. "Here I am, home again after a long, hard day's work," she said. "Where are my dear children?" Thea shook her head. "The father doesn't say that. The father hasn't gone away from home, don't you know? He works in the field and he comes into the house for his noon dinner." "Oh," Megan said, "I thought the father would carry bricks and build large buildings." "What are bricks?" Megan's jaw dropped in amazement. Then she laughed. "I guess I'd have a lot to learn about living on a farm." Thea picked up two of her twig dolls and marched them over to Megan's father doll. "We want to pick berries, Papa, but we promised not to go without Mama and a hoe to kill the rattlesnakes." "Rattlesnakes?" Megan gasped. "You know, sometimes they curl up under bushes," Thea explained. Megan shivered. "I hope I never see a rattlesnake." "No," Thea said. "Mama says you hope a rattlesnake never sees you. Now it's your turn." "What should he say?" Thea scowled. "You're not very good at playing dolls." "I'm sorry," Megan said. "I never had a doll." But Megan felt a hand on her shoulder and looked up to see Emma. "Time to leave. Get your coat," Emma said. Thea scrambled to her feet as Megan stood. "Don't go," she said. "We want to play." "We'll soon pay a visit to the Browders," her mother told her. "When?" "When the fall chores are done. Maybe around Christmas." "Maybe around Christmas time." The door opened wide and Ben stood in the doorway, almost spilling it. "Wagon's ready. Time to say our goodbyes." Mrs. Parson ran to the cupboard, pulled open the bottom drawer, and took out a blue flowered sunbonnet. She set the bonnet on Megan's head and tied the strings under her chin. "A present for you, Megan," she said. "Oh my, with your long dark hair, don't you look pretty?" The bonnet was deep blue tunnel in front that spilled over her neck and shoulders and back. Megan ran the tips of her fingers around the edges of the brim. "Oh," she stammered, too surprised and excited to speak. Mrs. Parson cocked her head and studied Megan. "The bonnet's a little large, but it'll do." "It's lovely," Emma said. "What a wonderful gift." "It was made for you, Emma," Mrs. Parson said gently. "It'll be your Christmas gift, but it seems Megan has a greater need if she's going to be riding on that wagon in the sun." She smiled at Megan. "The sunbonnet will keep away the freckles." Megan didn't mind the smattering of tiny freckles that dyed her nose. If freckles bothered Mrs. Parson, she should meet Mike and Danny. Wait, would she ever see a wild rash of freckles on them? Forcing her thoughts back to the present, she fingered the bonnet again. It was a beautiful color, and it was hers, her very own. Shyly she murmured, "Thank you for the sunbonnet, Mrs. Parson." She wished she had a mirror so she could see what she looked like. There was a last flurry of goodbyes before Ben guided Jay and Jimbo out to the road. The morning was soft, and the mist that clung to the hills shivered in the early light, and from the side birds rose and soared high. Their long trilling song sounded to Megan almost like the cries of joy. With the sunbonnet on, Megan could only see straight ahead. She turned her head from left to right and back again. She tried not to miss a thing. "Those are meadowlarks," Ben said. "Do you see them?" "Two of them," Megan answered. She loosened the ties of her sunbonnet and let them hang from her back, feeling the cool morning air prickling her cheeks. She gave a contented sigh. The shivering grasses through which they passed spread out before her into the horizon, and as the sun began to burn off the mists, clumps of goldenrod gleamed brightly beside the road, reflecting the light. Megan suddenly became aware that Emma was watching her. A twinkle in her eyes, and she fumbled with the sunbonnet, trying to pull it back over her hair. Emma placed a hand on Megan's. "The sun's not yet high, so let the bonnet be for a while," she said. "Nelda still has some notions she brought up with in Virginia, one of them being that ladies must have white, unblemished skins." "You wear a sunbonnet," Megan said. "That I do, because I sunburn easily. You probably will too, and in that case you'll be glad of the bonnet." "I took it off because there was so much to see," Megan said. Emma smiled. "Do you find the prairie beautiful?" "Yes, I do." Emma's face flushed with joy and excitement. "I'm so glad that you like the prairie. You'll discover so many wonderful things about it. It's different and beautiful. With each season of the year, it changes with the time of day." Megan peered out at the rippling long grasses as though she was trying to see through it. "Thea said there were snakes." "Oh dear," Emma murmured. Ben spoke up. "Yes, they're snakes. But you'll learn about them. You'll find plenty of small, harmless garter snakes. You'll learn to be cautious of the rattlesnakes, which are poisonous and deadly." "Now, Ben," Emma began, "you mustn't frighten Megan." But Ben looked at Megan carefully. "I think Megan's one to face facts, and the fact is that on the land we do watch for rattlers." "I never met a snake," Megan said, "but my brother Mike once showed me a drawing of a fearful big snake. He said it swallowed people." Ben chuckled. Brothers have a way of making their stories more exciting than they should be. No, rattlesnakes don't swallow people, but they do strike at them and bite them. And there's venom in their bite that makes people sicken and die. I'll teach you what rattlers look like and how to listen for their warning rattle. That's fine, Megan said, but you'd better tell me what to do next. Well, that's easy. You get out of the snake's way or you kill it. How do you kill it? Thea said something about a hoe. Is that something to kill rattlesnakes with? Good gracious, Emma said. All this talk about snakes. Wouldn't you rather talk about something else for a while? Megan shook her head. I'd rather talk about anything else, but only after I've learned how to kill rattlesnakes. Very well, Ben said. A hoe has a metal blade attached to a very long wooden handle. It's used to break up the soil in the garden and tear up weeds. You can also raise it high in the air and bring it down hard on a rattlesnake, aiming, of course, for right behind its head. Will the hoe cut off its head? Usually. Megan shuddered at the mental image. Ben's words called up. But what he said made good sense. All right, she said. Now we can talk about something else. Ben chuckled. You're the kind of woman who will turn this wild prairie into good farmland. Megan's a treasure, Emma said. We're so lucky to have her. Lucky? The gypsy cackled slyly in Megan's mind. Megan shivered and pushed the thought away, hoping Emma hadn't noticed her distress. Let me tell you of your new home, Emma said. We began with a house dug in the side of the hill. You'll see many houses like that, with families living in them. But now we have a house of logs, like the Parsons house. Yes, but larger. It has a big room for living, a parlor, a kitchen combined, and we have 2 bedrooms on the side, with a front door and a parlor, and a back door in the kitchen area. Emma sighed and smiled as Ben with pride. Ben built most of it himself, with a little help from a near neighbor, and putting on the roof. Emma did much of the caulking, Ben said. He glanced at Megan. Caulking means stuffing in the gaps and chinks of the logs with wet clay to keep out cold and the winds. Emma sighed. There's been droughts that hurt many farmers, especially in the western part of the territory, so I feel we've been very lucky to have good, healthy crops of corn the past 2 years. We've been able to put a real glass in our windows, and we have a well, so we don't have to carry water from the river. Didn't you need water to grow the corn? Megan interrupted. Again, Emma glanced proudly at Ben. Any crop needs water. Luckily, some of our land is high and dry, and some of it's fine bottom land near the river. Ben planted a cornfield in the bottom land, and then dug a canal from the big river water to bring river water to the cornfield. Ben's very clever. Why doesn't everyone live by the river? Megan asked. Because of the mosquitoes, which swarm near the water and carry disease, Ben said. Also, if the weather were to change and it rained hard enough and the river rose high enough, a flood could take the house. That's why our house is on a rise, a distance from the river. You could lose the cornfield if the river flooded. That's true, but we have to take some chances. Megan thought for a moment and said, It seems that you'd never be sure whether you'd have good crops or not. Maybe you should put your mind to the problem. I'd be ready to listen to advice, Ben said. His grimace teasing, and Megan smiled back, but Emma said firmly, Megan, I haven't told you about the room where you'll sleep. There's a trundle bed in it, with a quilt pieced with a wedding ring pattern, all blues and reds. My mother made it for me when I was a child. She gave a little bounce of excitement. I know. We'll plant sunflower seeds under your window. Have you ever seen a sunflower? Megan shook her head and said, Sunflowers grow wild in Kansas during the summer. They're tall, golden faces that's the size of dinner plates. When you wake in the morning, you see them shining in at you like a row of bright suns. In the distance, Megan saw a small group of people coming in their direction. There were 2 men on horseback, and there was something dragging on the ground beside one of the horses. Other people walked beside them. Their clothing was strange, and as they came closer, Megan see 2 of them were wrapped in blankets with dark hair and dark skin. Megan gasped and clutched Emma's arm. Indians, she whispered. Mike had enjoyed terrifying the younger children about the bone-chilling tales of Indian massacres. Megan had known Indians lived in the West, but she never expected to see real Indians up close. They're traveling from one place to another, just as we are, Ben said evenly. Megan was close beside him on the wagon seat, and could feel his muscles tense. It looks like a family, Emma whispered. Where are they? Kaw, do you think? Osage? Megan's eyes were drawn to the rifles, held in slings in the sides of the saddles. Will they try to kill us? She managed to stammer. Not this group, Ben assured her. As I said, they're just travelers like us. How can that be? Megan said. Mike said the Indians are savages. They shoot arrows at people and cut off their hair, skin, and all, and leave them for dead. And steal children, she thought, but that was too terrifying to say aloud. There have been Indian wars. There's more to come, I'm afraid, Ben said. But there are plenty of Indians who want to be left alone and live in peace. The traveling group was close to them now, and Ben touched the brim of his hat and held up a hand, palm out. One of the men on horseback held his right hand up in the same gesture. Peace, Ben murmured. Megan tried not to stare at the fringed Abia jackets and leggings, the blankets wrapped around the women on foot, and the old person peering out from the horse-drawn sling. Megan glanced out at the eyes of a little girl, probably close to her own age. They were as black as her hair. There was no expression on the girl's face, not even curiosity, and Megan wondered what the girl might be thinking. The taller woman suddenly called out something. One of the men on horseback wheeled his horse and reined it in directly in front of the Browder's wagon, blocking their way. Unable to go forward, Ben halted his team. What do they want? Emma whispered. She clutched Megan's hand so tightly it hurt, and Megan knew Emma was afraid. I don't know, Ben said in a quiet voice. Megan saw him glance quickly at his rifle, which was on the floorboards near his feet. The woman spoke to the man again and turned and stared greedily at Megan. This is what the gypsy meant, Megan said to herself.